Welcome to Citizen Concern South Africa. I have one message for you. Beware of the comrades. Yes, white people once stole our land, they once oppressed us, they did this, that, and the other. But they are not the ones in charge right now, are they? This past week, we have seen the repercussions of what can, what does, and what will happen when those in charge do not care about you and only care about themselves. 115 dead in Hawaii. 73 dead in South Africa. And when you look deep down, the culprits in both these stories are the government who we have trusted to take care of the people. In the case of Usindiso Shelter for women and children, the building that burned down is owned by the City of Johannesburg, which ultimately means it's being owned by the government of South Africa. And what has the government done while they were in charge of that building? Let's take a look at this article. Joburg City Manager said over 150 foreign nationals were in 2019 arrested for collecting rent from residents at the building. He confirmed the city had rented the building to the Gauteng Department of Social Development, who used it as a shelter for abused women and children before it was hijacked. Brink said there were no updates from the South African Police Services regarding the case of the 140 foreigners who were arrested for illegally collecting rent during a raid. Angela Rivers, the chairperson of the Joburg Property Owners and Managers Association, has told news broadcaster ENCA that there were at least 57 hijacked buildings in the Joburg inner city. Rivers said most of the buildings targeted by criminal syndicates were city-owned or state-owned buildings. ANC is the one to blame because since 1994, they were in charge of the country and the city of Johannesburg. And under their leadership, Hillbrow went from this to this. It went from being a beautiful city to being a trashy, scary, dirty, dangerous, feared place. Eventually, the city was run by a different leader in 2016, but by then the city had lost more than 500 buildings due to hijacking. And the interesting thing here is that the buildings are not being hijacked and taken somewhere. They're not being lifted and taken to a different city. They are not being disguised to hide them, being painted in a way that will make it difficult to identify that this is the building that has been hijacked. They are not being changed in any way, right? They are still where they were. They still possess the same address. So if the city really wants to find them, really wants to get rid of the people who have hijacked them, solve the whole issue, they can just go to the address and sort it out. So why didn't they do that? Fortunately, in 2016, Herman Mashaba was elected as the mayor of Johannesburg, and in that role, he began to clean up the city and deal with the issue of hijacked buildings in the city of Johannesburg. These are some of the comments that Herman Mashaba received for this excellent work. He's a visionary, long-lived comrade. Mashaba is right. He did raise this. Herman Mashaba for president. Herman Mashaba is the best mayor. May Herman, let's not forget that both the DA and there's a difference between get politician a shame of the ANC. You should name and shame. Mashaba would be a nice way. So maybe you're not yet embarrassed by the ANC and the fact that they are our leaders? Check this out. In 2021, Patricia de Lille revealed that the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure spent 5 billion rand on renting private properties for government departments and institutions. Over 300 landlords were overpaid to the tune of 66 million rand. Some of the biggest amounts spent on rental payments were made for buildings occupied by SAPS. One company, SKG or Africa Properties, received over 93 million rand in annual rent for leasing its buildings to police management. So let's recap. The fire that killed 73 people occurred in a building that is owned by the government of South Africa, but has been hijacked from the government of South Africa. There are many other buildings that have been hijacked from the government of South Africa. Instead of getting these buildings back and occupying them, renovating them, ensuring that the government and its staff use these buildings, no, the government has chosen instead to rent out buildings from civilians of South Africa. So a few civilians in South Africa are benefiting extensively while the government is losing, while we are losing from this. Like, is this an accurate representation of what is currently taking place in South Africa? And here we're talking about like a small portion, just an issue of hijacked buildings. You let me know what you think in the comment section below, but it appears to me that almost everything in South Africa is falling apart, and at the center of it is the ANC-led government. Instead of using that 5 billion rand to build new offices or maintain the already existing infrastructure, they let state-owned buildings fall apart and they choose to pay high rentals for commercial buildings. That recap is just crazy. It is saddening. It is depressing. It is so crazy what is happening to South Africa, to South Africans, to non-South Africans staying in South Africa at the hand of our current government. Let us know what you think about all of this in the comment section below. Share with others so that more people can see what is happening at the hand of our government. This is Citizen Concerned. Thank you for being here. See you on the next episode. And until then, beware of the comrades.